You know, very often, very often, we identify ourselves with people and objects. We feel hurt by them and deeply hurt by them, very deeply. We don't pause for a moment to think that that person could hit me simply because that person thinks himself or herself as a person. And I got hurt because I think of myself as a person, a spiritual person. Had that person been spiritually, whether it be his or her, that person would never hurt you. And if you were spiritual, truly spiritual, you would never get hurt. It is the smallness of my own existence, and it is also the smallness of that existence that makes us bleed. Now, that person has not heard of Sri Ramakrishna. That person has not heard of Swamiji. That person has not heard of Gita and Upanishad. That person has not heard these talks, but you have. These 12 disciples or 10, 11 disciples of Swamiji, they were with Swamiji at Thousand Island Park. They were listening to Swamiji. And the idea was that you cannot change that person. The person who is hurting, you cannot change that person. But you know the truth. In the first chapter on Gita, Arjuna tells Sri Krishna the same thing. Just before the war, Arjuna says that these Kauravas, they are deluded. They are completely deluded. And what they are doing is going to destroy Dharma. But we are not like them. We understand Dharma. So let us stop this war. Now, it's a very interesting thing. Sri Krishna contradicts him later. That's a different thing. But the very idea that those people are acting childish, we should not act childish. And that is one thing. If you read Swamiji, wherever from you read, Swamiji will continuously be talking about think of yourself as Atman all day and all night. And slowly that idea will develop inside you. And a time will come when you will identify yourself with Atman. And then you will see that the smallness of existence of your own and the smallness of existence of this world and everything around you, they do not matter with you anymore. And at least the smallness of the world may continue. That is their problem. That's not my problem. I know the truth. And I need to change. Actually, I don't need to change. We have identified ourselves with the wrong things. We have identified ourselves with the body. We have identified ourselves with the mind. And that's why we are suffering. What we need to is, what we need to do is to give up this identification. Once you give up this identification, you are what you are. And then you will realize that everything that is going on all around us is established in the smallness of things. They are not supposed to hit us. They should not be successful in hitting us or hurting us. This is taking up a high stand. We had an elderly monk when I was a young student. And whenever those students are naughty, and sometimes they can be very naughty. Sometimes in the prayer hall, just before the prayer began, children would be talking too much, shouting too much. And this elderly monk, he often got up and screamed at the students, "Don't forget your dignity." Now, he had used it so many times that students made fun of him, this expression. But now that, not now, in fact, many years ago, when I started looking back at my life or life in general, or to people who come near me, who come to me with their problems, one solution that strikes me practically all the time is remind that person of his or her dignity. And there have been many occasions when I've shouted and screamed at that person. How can you compromise with your dignity? Well, I myself have compromised. I don't say no. But whenever I became conscious of my dignity, I was out of it. Dignity. Take up a high stand. It does not matter how you identify yourself with, whether it be your culture, whether it be with your standing, with standing in life, with your family, whatever it is. Best thing is to identify yourself with Atman. You are one with God. You are a child of God. How can you go and identify yourself with something which is undignified? And when you suffer, when you are suffering, when you are shedding tears, when you are feeling depressed, when you are feeling low, just think for a moment. Today, after this class, think for a moment. In last 10 days, 1 month or 2 months, or maybe 1 year, how many times you were sad, how many times you were upset, and how many times things overwhelmed you. You'll find that every time the cause was just one. You compromised with your self-respect, with your dignity, and identified with something which had no dignity.